Go. What's up? I'm Keith Kelfis, and we're here on a landscape project, basically property maintenance. One thing that we do, I actually learned this when I worked at a huge landscape company with 40 cruises. We do the property walk beforehand. So if you have a crew working with you, then everybody is on the same page and knows what's going on. If you just take 5 to 10 minutes, if it's a big job, if it's a $20,000 job, you might take like 45 minutes walking around the property, going through everything and going through a checklist so everybody knows what's going on. But something like this, a quick 5-minute walk around the property, make sure everybody knows everything. So let's walk. This, we're doing what we call a whole property maintenance package, which we're trimming all the ornamental trees, trimming all the shrubs, pulling all the weeds, and then we'll be putting down mulch right here. He's ripping out all these big thistle, which are just huge prickly weeds. Man, he must be wearing some thick gloves. One little tip about weeds is and I was told this, don't ever let the weeds overwhelm you, the size of them. Because no matter how big or how small the weeds are, there's still the same amount of weeds. So if there's a garden bed with huge weeds, that should actually make you feel even better, because now you can see them and you can just grab them and pull them out faster. So it's not a big deal. Right here, so we're, point over there. There's boxwoods. Japanese maple needs to be elevated and pruned and cleaned out. Down here we have a azalea shrub. So we're gonna want to prune all this, pull out all these thistle from this azalea, and make sure that you can see the azalea and it has a nice sense of separation and delineation in the garden bed, so everything sits in its own group. See how it's all crowding? All these weeds under here got to get pulled. We go along the edges like this, clean everything up, especially when we're putting mulch. We might even take a line trimmer and go along here so it has that nice finishing touch. Here, these are holly shrubs, but they're completely just enamored and engulfed in weeds. This right here is called morning glory if you get real close to it. With the little tiny purple flowers, this viney type of, it's just a weed. It grows all over everything. Pull all the morning glory off. You'll see this stuff growing all the way up. All over the place. It'll take over everything. So we'll get all this off. Come this way. This Bradford pear tree, see how up there it's growing up towards the house and starting to touch the gutters. We take our pole pruner and we'll just trim that away just so nothing's rubbing on the house. Elevate this tree, clean it up. So we're actually doing the property walk right now and sharing with you. These are weeds. It takes a while to sometimes learn the difference between weeds and plants and flowers. I had a guy working for me for a few years ago. He was a college student off for a couple weeks. Man, he pulled a whole garden bed of beautiful flowers and everything. And I did the property walk with him. And I explained, hey, those are flowers, don't touch those. But in his head, he just didn't understand. And so I made the mistake of thinking just because I understood what I was saying, that he understood what I meant. So that a lot can get lost in communication even when you think something is clear. There's a whole nother video. But stuff happens and it cost me like $550 to go back and fix it. And I did, and I replanted everything. But here's a burning bush. Trim these. One quick tip is whenever you're trimming large bushes around houses, just take a minute to look behind and around each one for any wires or any cables or cords or internet cables. Because if you're trimming behind, oh, right there. What's this? Is that a gas meter? Yeah, gas meter. The gas line's going down. Look at that. You're gonna wanna be super careful and go slow when you're trimming behind here so you don't hit the gas meter. Or you're trimming and all of a sudden you hit an internet line. That's bad. You're gonna have a pissed off customer that will probably never call you back because everybody works from home now. But with burning bush, you can take a lot off. You can literally, I probably wouldn't wanna do this in the middle of the summer, but you could cut them in half and they'll grow back. So always ask the customer when it comes to burning bush, hey, you want these trimmed? They're super overgrown. We can go in pretty deep and leave just a little bit of green left and it'll buy you more time with them. Coming over here, these are what we call volunteers, what a gardener calls volunteers. They're literally trees that have grown out of the garden beds, needs to be completely just removed. It doesn't belong here. It's just a sapling that grew. So point that stuff out to your customer, remove it. Back behind there, there's an air conditioning unit. We're going to get all those weeds completely, just gut them out, just rip them out real quick. This is called the Ivory Halo Dogwood Shrub. Stuff like this is supposed to be gone over with hand pruners, depending on your client. I mean, we just take shrub trimmers and trim it up. Why? Because when you have these beautiful wispy leaves, you're shredding and tearing up the leaves and it looks like crap. But in something like this, you're gonna wanna, stack them high, let them fly. You're gonna wanna just go gangbusters with the shrub trimmers and just get all the bulk cleaned up, and then, yeah. All this, rip it out completely. This is just weeds. Don't let it intimidate you. You're gonna wanna watch out for poison ivy. It's everywhere, not in these garden beds. Quick shout out, my friend Austin Douglas, Ditch the Itch, at Ditch Your Itch on Instagram. He's a poison ivy remediation guy. He's brilliant. He was on my podcast, and I can't say any much information because I have to be, discreet about what I do and what I don't talk about. But he's smart, and he's taught me a lot of stuff about poison ivy and how to identify it. So all this gets pulled out. I'll show you some poison ivy. Oh wait, there is no poison ivy because he already remediated it. It's gone. There's the secret, it's out. That's gonna need to be dug out. But one thing is, when you're doing something like this, take a look at that garden bed. You might be like, you might actually get under some like hypnosis and be on one garden bed for like 4 hours. Oh my, you can literally bang this whole thing out in 45 minutes, hour and 15 minutes tops. Just get in there, you start ripping out like a Tasmanian devil, and you can't even see the guy pulling the weeds. You just see weeds flying. Anyway, you got some good gloves, eh? It doesn't really matter. It's so therapeutic. Man, those bitches is really in there. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. All right, over here, don't touch any of this. That's beautiful. We don't need to touch any of that. We're coming over here. Okay, so this is the property line. Always ask your customer if there's woods in the back. Hey, are we gonna touch any of that? Do you want any of that done? This is gonna be an extra charge. And to what degree, to what height, to how much. And also look, if there's oak trees or elm trees, you can't touch them in the summer because of oak wilt and elm wilt and fungal infections. So if you just start trimming an oak tree, I'm making it look better for the customer. And all of a sudden, like oak wilt, basically the tree gets infected, starts infecting the other trees. You got it kills all the trees in the whole forest, and then they all fall over and it's all your fault. Now you're sitting there with millions of dollars of unlimited liability. All right, but usually we'd offer something to the customer to take some trimmers and cutters, and we just go along the property edge. That's what we're doing here, just the overhanging stuff, nothing deep, literally just the shaggy, we call it the shaggy stuff, the shag. Let's go with the shag. Right here, we take some hand loppers, they're just big pruners, it's just what you can reach. Just go around and just prune up this stuff, and then the gravity will kind of pick it up, just so it's like look over there, you see that stuff hanging? Just get what you can reach, just go along up and down. There is an oak tree in here, right here. This is an oak. Identify the leaves. Don't touch or trim that. You can trim everything around it, but don't touch an oak at all in the summer. So coming over here, this area does, see how it sticks out and it's like separates the property from like the neighbor's property. From this line, just get in here and tear all this out and all these weeds, all this, tear this out. Even go past the property line a bit, because it's you know, it's growing over, and just clean this whole area out down to like basically down to dirt. That's the next distinction. When you're cleaning garden beds and doing what we call bulk vegetation removal, give the customer two options. One is just get the bulk all cleaned up and gone. Two is, do you want us to get down there and clean and start raking all the stuff in the dirt? Because this stuff comes in layers. Like, you can think something is like, oh, we'll charge them like $500 and clean all that up. I've had a customer, we spent 2 summers straight going there every single month and hauling off dump trailer loads of debris. It was packed in layers from like 30 years, and we just kept getting layer after layer after layer. Then we removed all the small trees and thinned it out. Then we were out there with a stump grinder, and it was like, by the time he was a super rich customer. He looked out of his house, and it goes down a hill. It was a mansion, and there was like water and a babbling brook, but there was no way to get to the other side, and it was like a forest area. And he goes, I want it to look like a golf course, like my neighbors. Mine looks like shit, and I want a bridge there and there. I'm like, you want a bridge and a golf course? Okay. I was so dumb, bro. I was out there, we were out there with like sledgehammers and 4x4s building a bridge, hauling lumber up and down this hill, dripping in sweat on a Sunday, bro. We didn't understand that we were supposed to put like, what are they called, deadmans and anchors and all that stuff. So we just built the bridge and just put it in the ground. Then he texted me the next Sunday, a big storm came and picked up my bridge and washed it onto my neighbor's golf course. What are you gonna do about this? I'm like, oh shit. So we had to go back and pick up this bridge with like 4 guys, big ass heavy bridge. And then we had to like, I think we went like, God, it was 4 feet into the ground with 4x4s, and we had to install all this stuff, and I paid for all of it out of pocket. And then, but then he had his bridge, he had his fucking bridge. And then we had another bridge, and then we turned it all into a golf course. And I almost like, I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. I had an eviction notice, and there's this guy smoking cigars, looking at his stupid ass bridge, while I'm sitting here fucking with my rusty ass Blue Goose truck, driving off with like smoke coming out of the exhaust pipe saying SOS, like for help. Fucking asshole. God, glad I got rid of that client. Wait, one other time, I'll just make this quick. He's like, I'm very fond of this client. He's taught me some hard life lessons. He was coming home from work, and it was like a Saturday, 7:30 p.m. and my wife's texting me like, when are you gonna be home? You haven't been home in months. I'm like, we gotta make some money. And he's like, I'm coming home and I'm having company. You know my garage? So he wanted me to turn his patio. He had a floating deck outside of his house. Like, it was like crazy, like 20 feet up in the air. And there was like, I looked it up, it was $25,000 in patio furniture. This dude's like, I want you to put all the patio furniture, because it was getting cold out, into the garage, because we're gonna turn it into a cigar room. I wanna smoke with cigars and my buddies. It's an impulse. You know, I'm just ruining all my credibility right now. They're like, why should I even listen to this Kelfas guy? Okay, so there was no way to get the patio furniture except for to literally pick it up and put it on the guy's roof, haul his patio furniture across the roof, and then down, and then hand it down to another guy. So there I am, 8:30 at night, hauling patio furniture across. I'm a landscaper. I get it all set up, we get the rug in there, and then all of a sudden a van pulls up, a big ass van pulls up, and then these dudes call out like an 80-inch LCD, a plasma TV or something that was like, dude, it was like, and they're bolting it to the wall, and then some other guys the guy pulls up with the wine, another guy with fresh pepper and shit. I'm like, what's going on? This millionaire guy just thought this up. All of a sudden these dudes pull up in exotic cars and shit, and now they're all smoking cigars and shit in this. He converted the garage into a cigar room. And I'm like, I'm totally exhausted, bro. Like, I hate my life. And I go up to him, I'm like, hey, I need to get paid extra for this. He goes, what? Like, he's annoyed with me. He's like, oh, he pulls out 50. I'm like, I need like 100, but I was so stupid. I'm like, I need like 100, but he goes, $100. He pulls out a stack of like 25 G's, and he hands me a 50, and he goes, get out of here. And I'm like, no, I need $100, bro. And he goes, no. He gives me 50. I'm like, he goes, oh. And he gives me 100, and then I leave, and I'm driving home in my little Blue Goose, so pissed off and so aggravated and feeling like worthless because I let this customer do this to me. And I think it's Exactly. It's important that you go through some stupid ass lessons so you can get to the point. Anyways, I'll tell you the story about there's certain words I can't say on YouTube. When you upgrade and you become a high class hooker, and you and you go back to your customer one day, you say, I used to charge you $100 for that. Now it's gonna be $300 because I've learned my worth. You know what the customer's gonna go? They're gonna be like, you used to do it for $100. Get out of here. Like, you can never upgrade that. You got to keep them how you got them, and just go get new clients with your brand new identity. And they don't know that old you who was scared and afraid, and you used to undercharge yourself. And back to work. So here is a thistle shrub. Here is a thistle shrub. This is a big leaf. Rip all this stuff out. These are lilacs. Just trim them, bro. Nice undercut. Look at this, a big, what is this, a hawthorn tree or buckthorn or something growing out of here? These are an invasive species. Cut it out at the root, and then you're good. Oh yeah, over here. Make sure you're careful. These hostas, see how they're so overgrown on the sidewalk? Go to the bottom layer. Just like the ones that are like, you know, growing over the sidewalk. Just give them a little bit of a facelift. This watch is exclusive. You cannot get this watch. Exclusive. This is exclusive. So that's what you do. You do a full property walk, and you explain what needs to be done. Then you get a picture in your head. And I'm embarrassed now, so have a good day. Click the video in the description below to see another property walk where we actually install a landscape. I'll walk you through that. All right, bye.